Hi friends! Some people have asked me to respond to recent statements that a famous author has made as a queer fan of their work. I am going to discuss why I use gender-neutral language when discussing reproductive health care, but this video isn't a response to any one person because I've been working on this video for a long time, and it is in response to a system that constantly erases my existence. We should condemn bigoted, anti-trans, and misogynistic statements and actions that are meant to dehumanize us. But I don't really want to talk about that because the majority of the time, I don't experience that. I experience smaller moments of erasure, of microaggressions, coming from people who are supposed to be on my side and are maybe trying their best. Like men hosting a popular liberal podcast who are raising money for Planned Parenthood, who only think about how their services benefit cis women, when Planned Parenthood serves everyone. They help people access birth control, abortion, STD testing and treatment, HIV services, and hormone therapy. Using inclusive and gender-neutral language would better communicate all of the great things they do. It would also help communicate that everyone needs access to reproductive health care regardless of their gender identity. And the podcast eventually changed their language on that. But one day last fall, I spent about 9 hours in an arena in Des Moines, Iowa, listening to speeches from presidential candidates and prominent members of the Iowa Democratic Party. I was honestly having a pretty good time. I was surrounded by friends and was able to hug and joke around with people I hadn't seen in a long time. I wasn't even anxious about being in a room with thousands of other people because I knew that these people shared the majority of my values. But then the speeches started, and they kept mentioning protecting abortion rights for women or talking about women's issues when they really just meant accessing reproductive health care and reproductive justice. And over the night, I got more and more uncomfortable, and I started to feel lonely and isolated in a room with thousands of people who were theoretically on my side. I started to feel lonely even though I could have reached out and found my friends in the crowd because I very recently came out as non-binary, and as a non-binary person with a uterus, I had to hear so many people proclaim that they were invested in LGBT rights and reproductive rights, but never connecting the issues and always erasing me from the conversation about my own healthcare and my own body. They wanted women to vote to protect their reproductive rights, and they were trying to appeal to me, but I'm not a woman. I got more and more frustrated throughout the night. I was uneasy, and instead of really talking about it to anyone, I decided to respond to the whole night on Twitter with one GIF that just summarized the whole night for me, Janet from The Good Place, who's canonically not a girl. She has a lot of experiences our culture typically associates with womanhood. Janet uses she/her pronouns. Janet is subjected to misogyny from other people. Janet wears traditionally feminine clothing. Janet is married to a cis man. Janet is able to choose when and how she reproduces when she volunteers to populate a whole neighborhood with her offspring with the help of her ex-boyfriend in order to conduct an experiment that could save all of humanity. But it would be super weird if anyone had tried to force her into having all of these children. Just super weird. Despite all of that, everyone in the audience knows and understands that Janet is not a girl. We understand that Janet is not a girl because she patiently and kindly reminds the people in her life that she is not a girl for all of eternity, and it eventually becomes an inside joke and even an expression of love. This is an example of how we can kindly educate our peers by spreading information and answering good faith questions about LGBT rights and reproductive justice. Because even though Janet is not a girl, she is, I would argue, a person who should have equal rights and bodily autonomy. So when we talk about reproductive justice, we use gender-neutral language as to not leave out Janet from a conversation that concerns her. We say pregnant people, people with a uterus, or people who menstruate because we love and respect Janet and do not want to erase her from the conversation about her own body. Just like we wouldn't want to erase non-binary people, intersex people, or trans men who experience any of these things. We want to include them as well as cis women. We can ask public figures who are trying their best to do better and provide resources and reminders on how they can be better and support everyone who might need reproductive health care. This might mean making your boss take lessons on how to be a good person. We can also build safe and inclusive communities both by modeling acceptance and inclusion and by actively rejecting people who have repeatedly harmed us and refuse to learn from their mistakes. This might look like forcing all of the demons to leave your neighborhood so you have a space where none of your friends are being tortured. It might also look more like fighting off a literal demon, perhaps even a group of demons who were sent by that first demon to attack vulnerable members of our community. But realistically, for us, it might just mean loudly denouncing these demons and all of the harm they have caused before blocking them on Twitter or unfriending them on Facebook and just stop seeing them. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Let me know down in the comments who your favorite character is on The Good Place. And if you want to see more from me, you can subscribe, watch another video of mine, or support me on Patreon. And hey, I love you.